Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles of philosophy, spirituality, and mysticism to rapid lifestyle transformation. And tonight we have a very interesting video for you lined up. We're going to be talking about time travel. That's right, time travel and how it can massively impact your life, your business, and indeed every facet of your life. So time travel, is it possible? Well, according to quantum physics, it is. According to philosophy, it is. And that's for the simple fact that, you see, ladies and gentlemen, time and space are dimensions that are simply arise when contact is made between reality and our human receptacle, our human equipment, which can be called the senses and the mind. So basically, our mind makes contact with whatever it is that is real, and we don't even know if it's out there or in here. Indeed, as the great physicist John Wheeler said, there is no out there. And then the categories of our specific human equipment separate these dimensions of time and space and so on and so forth. And it's very necessary for us to have these physical experiences because, as we know, there's no duality, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is proven by physics and by philosophy. We came from the unity into multiplicity and into duality so that we can have that experience of multiplicity and then realize ourselves once again as the unity. But you can travel back in time. The great spiritual teachers talked about this. Indeed, the biblical scriptures refer to this. It's what the great mystic Neville Goddard called revision. So first I want to prove to you through science that we can at least measure and see the effects of this. And first I want to go into the scriptural reference for it. And then I just want to shortly tell you how to do it, how you can apply this amazing tool of time travel, of revision, to your life for immediate results. So if you look in the biblical scriptures in the book of Luke, chapter 16, it's called the parable of the unrighteous servant. And I heard this growing up. Of course, no spiritual leader in the quote-unquote official church had any explanation for this. They're dumbfounded because it's another one of those stories that seems to contradict the teachings of the organized religion, and it can only be understood in terms of spirituality, in terms of mysticism. So it says here in the book of Luke, Jesus told his disciples there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So the rich man had an administrator, and he was somehow accused of wasting the money or the possessions of this master. So he called him and asked him, "What is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer." So the books are off, man. I need you to explain this because there are some inconsistencies here. The manager said to himself, "What shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I'll do, so that when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses. So I've got to come up with a big idea because I don't know anything else to do. And of course, I'm not going to beg. So I need to figure out another way to make income here." So what did he do? The manager called in each one of his master's debtors. He asked the first, "How much do you owe my master?" 900 gallons of olive oil, he replied. The manager told him, "Take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 450. So he's basically having them forge the documents of how much that they owed the master and saying that they owed less, so that then maybe these people would take him into their houses. Okay? Then he asked the second, "And how much do you owe?" 1,000 bushels of wheat, he replied. He told him, "Take your bill and make it 800. Now, you would think that this would be fraud, right? And that the master would condemn him and perhaps throw him into prison. But here's what happened. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourself, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into the eternal dwellings. Well, what is this worldly wealth? This worldly wealth is basically our power of focus, ladies and gentlemen. And just as the unrighteous servant changed these past documents to make it basically delete some of the debt of these customers of the master, so you can go back to a certain event in your life and change that by a sort of metaphysical counterfeit. And then by law, ladies and gentlemen, the future results have to change according to that past. So of course, there are many testimonials. If you'll just read The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard, there are also many testimonials in my life and in the lives of some of the people that I've coached and counseled who've done this with amazing results. And we're going to give you a technique on how to do that. But I just want to read this experiment, which is incredibly just mind-boggling. It's a scientific experiment. It was actually published in a peer-reviewed journal here, and it was by an Israeli doctor. So in July 2000, Israeli doctor Leonard Libovici conducted a double-blind, randomized controlled trial involving 3,393 hospital patients. This is peer-reviewed stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is not made up. This is in the medical literature. He divided these patients into a control group and an intercession group. He set out to see whether prayer can have an effect on their condition. Leibovici selected patients who had suffered sepsis, an infection, while hospitalized. He randomly designated half the patients to have prayers said for them, while the other half were not prayed for. He compared the results in 3 categories: how long the fever lasted, length of hospital stay, and how many died as a result of the infection. As in other experiments, the prayed for benefited from an earlier decrease in fever and a shorter hospitalization time. This has been just off the charts proven, that when someone goes and prays for another person or imagines well for them, this has an effect because we're all connected by that field, ladies and gentlemen, by that energy field that connects all consciousness, because we are at the end one consciousness. So of course this happened in this experiment as well. The difference in the number of deaths among the prayed for and the not prayed for groups was not statistically significant. So although better in the prayed for group. So the same number of people died, and we can discuss this as well. But of course that's a powerful demonstration of the benefits of prayer and how we can send an intention out into the quantum field. However, there's one additional element to this story that you should know about. Those who were praying weren't praying for patients who were affected in the year 2000. Instead, unbeknownst to them, they were praying for lists of people who had been in the hospital from 1990 to 1996, 4 to 10 years prior to the experiment. The prayed for audience actually got better during the 1990s from the experiment conducted years later. So the patients who were prayed for in 2000 all showed measurable changes in health, but those changes took place years before. A statistical analysis of this experiment proved that these effects were beyond coincidence. This demonstrates that our intentions, and I'm reading here from Joe Dispenza's book, our thoughts and feelings and our prayers not only affect our present and future, but they can actually affect our past as well. So, what does this mean, ladies and gentlemen? This means that because there's no time and no space, and because there's no duality, you can not only go and get into the state of a future desire and have that manifest, you can also go into the past and change an event from your past. So let's just give a simple example. Let's say your boss yelled at you yesterday. Well, what we recommend that our students do is every day you revise your day. That is, you look through your day, and you take parts of it that you didn't like, and you reimagine that as if it happened in a way that you like. So if your boss yelled at you, you can go back into your imagination and you can imagine that the boss smiled at you and said you did a great job. And indeed, you'll start to see the effects of that, ladies and gentlemen, immediately or as soon as the next day, you'll start to see the effects of that your job's going to get easier, that your boss is going to seem kinder, and so on and so forth. Because indeed, there's no time. And when you change the cause, the effect changes. This is proven in science and in scripture. So we encourage you to do that, ladies and gentlemen. Time travel, change your past. If there was a big event, we don't encourage you to dig into your past because everything is now. All of your power is now. So you don't have to change any events in the past. All you have to do is change your vibration in the now, and then your future will be different. But if there's something big that keeps coming up, you can actually go and practice yourself into that past event, and then you can change it to what you want it to happen, and you can keep repeating that scene until you believe it, until you feel that it's real. And then just watch how your life unfolds according to that new trajectory, ladies and gentlemen. So we recommend that people do this. It's a very exciting practice, and you do it immediately, ladies and gentlemen. Our modality is more and more focused on giving it to yourself now. So what a lot of people will talk about is that they revise the situation even while they're in it. So for example, if someone is telling you something that you don't want to hear, and indeed this is also in a lot of the stories of Neville Goddard, but if someone's telling you what you don't want to hear, just in your mind, imagine as if they're telling you what you do want to hear right immediately in that moment. If you live like this, ladies and gentlemen, your life's going to take off, and the consequences are going to reflect that. So thanks for watching. This week we have a lot of exciting videos coming out, more of the details of how to apply this methodology for rapid lifestyle transformation. Please subscribe and like to our channel so that we can get this information out to as many people as possible. And as always, I am here to offer coaching and consulting for you to take this methodology and help you apply it to your life and form a plan for your rapid lifestyle transformation. I will put my email in the description so that we can set up a call. So until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, with great love and appreciation, this is Javier. We'll see you soon.